Good morning, Isa here. I am not sure if this is going to be in any way interesting, but I have decided to update you on my current writing progress, and I was thinking about making this some sort of vlog, a day in the life of a self-publishing writer, but I think it's so boring. I'm not sure if I can pull it off or if it will be in any way interesting for you. But let's see how this is going to work out. So yeah, in general, my life is super uneventful. I get up somewhere around 8 a.m. on a day I'm not going to my daily job. And then I just usually procrastinate, struggle with my ADHD, drink coffee, forget to eat, then remember I have to eat, cook something last minute, start writing, remember I have to edit or post something on social media. Yeah, my brain is a chaos sometimes, but interestingly enough, I usually make it work somehow. And this is also the reason I am thinking and planning on setting up a proper schedule for me and try to stick to it, because I have a major problem with staying organized. I need coffee. Just a huge cup of coffee, or maybe an espresso, I don't know it. Just coffee. I also need to clean my apartment because it's a mess. It's not as bad as it could be, but somehow if there's a mess, it stresses me out. I can't help it. But I also don't do anything about the mess and just, yeah, whatever. You know, I have issues. This is my first vlog and it's already such a mess. I'm sorry. So I'm one of the super annoying people who are always on some sort of diet, but part of the reason this time is that they've just been the holidays and I'm just so full of everything. So welcome to a day of eating with me. Unbelievable but true, I finally made it to my notebook and to my writing desk, and I'm ready to actually get some work done. So what am I currently working on, or rather, what's my plan for this week? I just realized this is not going to be a daily vlog. There's no use for me doing that because I'm really not an inspiring person and my lifestyle is not inspiring either. And I don't know if this is going to be in any way interesting, but I think a weekly vlog could be interesting and keep you updated in a way that's going to be beneficial for you too, in case you're following me or want to know what I'm up to. As if you're a fellow writer, I'm sure you're in some way accustomed to this type of chaos. I hope I at least can entertain you a little. So my plans for this week, or what I'm currently working on, is for one, Patreon and Inkit. My current VIP that I'm currently posting and updating on these two platforms is almost finished now. It's A Chance at Redemption for the Alpha. It's book 8 of my Silver Lake Wolves series. And I'm really at the finishing lines for this one, at least when we are talking about draft stages and the first round of editing. So usually I post my drafts to Patreon and Inkit while doing the first round of editing. I'm almost done with this one, which means once A Chance at Redemption is wrapped up, I will move on to the next draft while beginning the serious editing process for the former draft. I wanted coffee, but somehow, unbeknownst to why and how this happened, I actually ended up with tea. My next VIP for Patreon and Inkit will be Healing Bonds. Now, Healing Bonds was a short story I wrote for an anthology which was launched 2 years ago. Now, the anthology itself was just a 1-year project. So now that it was taken off Amazon, I picked up the short story again and actually worked it into a whole novel. And this also means I can finally take everyone off the very mean cliffhanger I had in the short story. I apologize. It was my first time writing a short story, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I also joined another anthology a year later, and I think I was doing much better with that one in terms of writing an actual short story. But yeah, Healing Bonds is a shifter romance story that will be a whole novel. It's shifter romance set in our world, very similar to the Silver Lake Wolf series, but the two series are not connected. There are a few different rules in this world. I'm actually very, very excited about that one. I have already written the first draft, which means the real work is starting now, but I do hope, fingers crossed, that patrons and Inkit subscribers will like it. So I feel like I should probably do some sort of activity, like, I don't know, sport. So I'm procrastinating and spending probably half an hour until I decide which type of workout I'm going to do. Oh, I hate it. I wish I would love one type of sport, but it's really more like a chore for me. Not only did I manage to do my workout, I also got myself a cup of coffee finally. In terms of writing, like new writing, I'm currently working on book 9 of the Silver Lake Wolf series, which will be Felix' story. I think the twin story, Felix and Dario, are particularly looked forward to by my readers. I'm not sure. I think Aurelia was also a very popular character and a lot were waiting for her story. But I think Felix and Dario are also highly anticipated and I really want to deliver. So twins in my story, in my stories, don't share a mate. Even if they're identical twins, each twin will get their own mate. And in this case, also their own story, which means Felix and Dario will each get their own book. As for Felix, I don't want to talk too much about it yet. I don't want to spoil anything, but just to summarize it briefly, as brief as I can do it, Felix is our sunny boy. He is probably the Alcott sibling with the cheeriest and most joyful attitude. He's a very outdoorsy person. He loves his family. He's in general very kind, very funny, just a typical sunny boy. Deep inside he has his insecurities and has confidence issues, which we'll tackle in the book and also understand where they come from. Now the female main character of the book is a wolfless girl, which is why the title is A Wolfless Mate for the Lycan Prince. She's a very strong character, a young woman who was forced to grow up very soon or very early, and she's very mature and almost a bit too serious for her age. So I have a lot of plans for this couple and for each character individually. I think they're going to be very interesting together. In this book, we'll also revisit some of the older established characters and see how they are doing. Celine and Marius in particular will have a little spot in this book, which I'm actually very much looking forward to. There's just something about other people playing horror games and being terrified that's just so oddly comforting to me. Like, I'm the hugest chicken out there when it's about horror movies, but somehow horror games don't bother me as much. I mean, I'm totally getting jump scared all the time, but it's not the same as with movies. I don't know, it must be a different medium, but I love horror games and I love watching other people play them.
Oh, good. Bless, hallo. Ja. Oh Gott! Oh Gott!
So after a bit of a break, I am ready to jump into work again. Let's go and get some writing done. In the previous video, I mentioned the importance of having a backlog, and this, or what I'm talking about here, is exactly what I meant by it. So I have drafts ready for Patreon, and while posting that one draft, I am already wrapping up the second draft and outlining the next story. Current draft being posted on Patreon will be Healing Bonds. It will have a new title though. Healing Bonds will be a series title. And while posting this, I'm going to finish Felix's story. And while finishing Felix's story, I'm going to outline the next draft already. While this whole process is processing, I'm also editing the next book for Amazon, which means I have several steps. I always have some sort of work for each step that needs to be done currently. There's never a spot being empty, if that makes sense, or vacated. What I'm currently outlining while writing Felix's story, I am already thinking about what to do next, and I just make a basic outline, like the main points of the story. And this is actually going to be a whole new book. It's a revenge story, which I obviously don't want to talk too much about. It's just not in a state I can already share it with you, because there might be a lot of changes happening. But it's a revenge story with a wronged Luna in the middle of it. She will find a very strong ally, and the betrayal these two characters faced will make them work together. So that's the outline for the next story I am currently thinking about. The top step usually is the book I'm currently editing, aka finalizing, and that's The Kingdom of Eternal Ice. The Kingdom of Eternal Ice is a book that's already published in paper form. It was originally published to a reading app. For reasons, the reading app stopped working altogether, so itself was deleted from and removed from App Store and from Google Store, etc. And all the authors got the rights for the ebooks back. So I'm doing a last step of editing for this one, because it still needs some editing. It's not good enough to really go to KU yet. The current proofreader is on it. Just for information, I always hire a proofreader. It's obvious I'm not a native speaker, which is why I think having a professional proofreader is super important. I always hire a professional proofreader and editor for all my books. The Kingdom of Eternal Ice is a fantasy romance story. It's a shifter romance story, but it's set in a fantasy world. My goal for The Kingdom of Eternal Ice is end of January, so this upcoming week, I will really need to rally the ARC team together. I don't want to rush it. It's stressful for everyone if it's rushed, and it's never good. This is also book one of a series, and it's never smart to rush the first book of a series, because it needs to be advertised. Readers need to be aware it's coming, need to be able to have a certain time span to announce it, etc. And side projects I have, which I am working on. Yeah, well, aside from what I'm currently doing. Did that make sense? I'm not sure. My main work and my main projects will always be under my main pen name, which is Isa Rina. So this pen name always has priority. I have patrons and Inkit subscribers on it. They signed up for a certain schedule I promised to deliver, and I'm definitely going to do that. So it's always my top priority. But aside of that, I've started a second pen name, or rather writing for a second pen name. I want to kick off this pen name and the first book written under it around April maybe. Now, as of what I'm doing for the second pen name, I'm writing MM romance, contemporary romance, and it's so different. It's different enough to what I'm writing under my main pen name that I decided to set up a second one for it. I'm planning to launch 2 books under said pen name this year. They're both halfway written already. This is what I'm currently working on. I'm also trying to stick to a schedule, because otherwise I feel like my brain is going to get fried by having so many things on my agenda. However, it helps me that the things I'm working on very much differ from each other. so it's not mixing up in my brain. Well, that's it. This is my day, week, whatever in the life of an author. I'm not sure if this video in any way fits the title. I hope I was able to share a bit with you. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.